Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be doing a VOD review of Deyy, Mero, and Reverse. They recently won the Cash Cup Extra. I know I'm a bit late on this VOD review. However, I would like to VOD review their best game from the Cash Cup, how they played it, what they did in order to succeed in the way that they did. They played extremely well. All three, Deyy, Mero, and Reverse, played extremely well. They worked together, and if you guys don't know, this is my pick to win Trio FNCS this season. So I'm going to be VOD reviewing this from Deyy's perspective, simply because Mero and Reverse did not stream this. So I'm basically just going to be VOD reviewing it, going over what they did wrong, what they did right, and what they did overall to succeed and win the tournament. So hopping right into it, I'm just going to delete this text right here, and I'm basically going to go over the fact that they're landing dirty docks, which is a fantastic drop spot, especially if it's uncontested. However, in this game, it obviously is contested. I'm going to have you guys listen into some of the comms that they give to each other. You're basically going to be talking about, being contested, how that works, and they're basically acknowledging the fact that they have a team that's going to be landing dirty with them right here. As you guys can see, Mero and Reverse have mastered their drops in this area, as well as Deyy. They've all mastered their drops for various places around, the POI. And this team looks kind of like they don't really know what they're doing, because you can see that they're dipping away to that, kind of southern side of dirty docks. But I would like to point out one quick thing about dirty docks right here. As you guys can see, I want to show you where exactly Deyy, Mero, and Reverse landed in this situation. So going over to this interactive map that I have up right here, I'm going to take out my pen tool. You guys can see that Deyy did not land here. Deyy landed right here on this little yellow X right here, and Mero and Reverse landed on this yellow X right here. What this does is it gives an overarching map control, because they have this building to themselves, simply because it's the intersection of, the two places that they landed. And basically, this entire area is where that one person landed. So they know that they have the map control. I'm going to switch to a different color. They know that they have the map control of this entire half of dirty, and the other two teammates landed over here, which is why they almost always want to try and rush this player first, because they know that he's solo and he has a large portion of map, and it would take him a while to get to his teammates, which is just the general practice of good map control. Once again, map control is having the control over the area around you and making sure that opponents around you cannot affect you in a negative way. So basically right here, this is the really good, kind of split drop that I would recommend that everybody who lands dirty docks tries to do. So going back into this, you guys can see that Deyy is fighting right now. He's trying to spray this opponent right here, as you guys can see. But, the other teammates are obviously going to be coming towards them right now. They're obviously trying to fight this. And one thing I would like to point out is that they're contested, but they're focused on splitting wide sides of dirty, and they're also focused on eliminating the enemies. Their first objective is to eliminate the enemy players that are on that side. Obviously, Deyy does get knocked here, which is unfortunate. However, he focuses on moving to his teammates in order to give them the chance to res him, which is one thing I don't see enough players doing. If he didn't do that, he would probably not be alive right now, and they could potentially lose the fight. Mero obviously got an elimination, and they're going to get the res off, and they're going to be pretty good for now. So I would like to say they are trying to prioritize healing in this off-spawn fight more than anything, simply because if you guys are not at max HP, it's going to be just overall negative for your health, the way that you fight, how you're playing in the fight, your mental. There's going to be a bunch of different negative connotations if you guys don't do this correctly. And they also decide to fully crank up together, and obviously Mero gets an elimination. But just doing that whole, group unison thing, with them cranking up at the same time together, it just makes sure that they're together, they know how to fight them, and, there's it's like rather than hitting with the small hammer, you're gonna hit with the large hammer, which is that team that, you're gonna be fighting as. And obviously, after they finish the fight, they're going to go on and they're going to continue looting. I would like to say that they loot dirty completely, and they focus on fully looting it rather than just, looting it like half-heartedly and like not in the best way. But as you guys can see, they're all split in different spots right now. As you guys can see up here, I'm just going to pause it really quickly. As you guys can see right here. So, what's it called? Reverse is right here, Deyy is right here, and then Mero's down here. This is just looting what those players left behind, making sure that you get the max amount of loot, the max amount of materials, and the max amount of pretty much everything to, succeed in the rest of the game. So as you guys can see, Mero's out in the ocean fishing, Deyy is trying to farm over here, and Reverse is trying to focus on, farming up that metal that anybody may have missed, or just looting any remaining spots that are, unlooted. And this is really good, because if you're split when you're uncontested, it makes sure that you cover more ground, and you have more area to, work with in the long run. So as you guys can see, Deyy is almost at max materials, and I would like to highlight the fact that this trio tries to prioritize materials over anything else. Materials in trios is arguably one of the most important things, and you guys need to make sure that you get to max materials from your drop spot regardless of what, what's around it, what's happening. You guys might think that there's not enough mats at your drop spot, and for some that is true, but most of the time you guys can find materials that are in various spaces that nobody really knows about, and I would highly recommend you guys try to prioritize doing that over anything else. So obviously Dummy has been taken, so they're not able to upgrade to their, like higher rarity weapons. But right now they're trying to prioritize the rotation rather than doing anything else. They don't really need surge tags because for the most part they already have a fight off spot and they already have enough tags to survive them through the mid and through like most of the late game. And they're going to be getting tags later in the game, as you guys will see. But their rotation, they're trying to prioritize, rotating onto the side of zone that's more dead. And they're trying to get some tags here, just for some, future proof, surge areas. They're trying to, secure their future as more of like a dominant team in the rest of this game. But once again, as you guys can see, they're trying to box up on the dead side of zone, and they're not really going to be messing with anybody right now. They kind of just want to stay still, keep to themselves. If you guys die right now in one of these games, it's not going to be the best. It's going to be very, very bad if you guys died during a mid game of any trio game in the long run. That's why Deyy right here is kind of messing around. He's kind of just, messing with the sensitivity. He's not really doing too much, to contribute to the team in terms of eliminations. Obviously, Deyy is the fragger for this team, but he's not really trying to look for kills right now because they don't really need it. Looking for kills unnecessarily is going to be a risk always. You guys can get bow headshot. You guys can get triple sprayed. You can get lobby focus. It's never a good idea to look for kills when you don't really need them. So obviously right here, they're trying to rotate to the zone that pulled towards the Steamy Stacks area. They're trying to, get under this bridge because that is like a pretty fortified location where they're not going to be server focused. As you can see, Deyy, Mero, and Reverse are all trying to rotate into this little crevice below this bridge. And basically, Deyy's trying to just refarm some, ground here. He's trying to get some, various different things for him to, be successful in the rest of the game, have the best amount of mats that he can. And even though they get tagged, they don't really worry about it too much. They use their shield, they use their minis, they use their materials in order to protect him. But right here, this is a very, very good fortified location. I'm just going to analyze something really quickly about where they are. As you guys can see, there's this location up here, which is on that hill. There's also this location up on this hill, and there's a location that's behind them that could be potentially looking at them. However, that location is not going to be full server focusing on the place under the bridge. It's not really going to be a liable location that everybody's going to look at. So this location is very good if you guys want to try to play safe, play passive, just like they are, and nobody's really going to be looking at them in order to kill them or to get surge tags on them, which is why they chose to box up here. So as you guys can see right here, zone does pull far away from them. Obviously, this is going to be the fourth zone, which is the zone before half and half, which is arguably the most important. And they choose to use the river to rotate. They're going to try to rotate onto the less congested side of zone. Obviously, the more congested side of zone is going to be more, the south side, more the southwest side, which is where everybody came from the other sides of the map. But as you guys can see, they're trying to rotate into this specific area and just box up and not really mess with anybody too much right here because they don't really need to. Once again, they're just trying to, keep to themselves, try to play passive on this rotate. And obviously, they're going to be looking for surge tags a bit later in the game because they will need them because there's still 58 players alive and 30 surge will highly affect them if they don't get storm surge tags. As you guys can see right here, they are looking for some Storm Surge tags just in case they do need them. And right now, they kind of do because they're not really that much above Storm Surge. As you guys can see, they're looking for as many tags as they possibly can. They are obviously 500 above, so they're good for 50 Surge. However, for 30 Surge, they're not going to be very good on it. And obviously, that player pumps Deyy. It's just an unfortunate turn of events. No audio right there, as you guys could tell. So right here, Deyy calms for the team to rush another team, as you guys can see. He tries to get into this box. They get the wall, obviously, and they decide to run in and try to pump these players and get the eliminations. So they get 2 kills right here, and they obviously take all of the bodies, and they bring them back to their tarp in order to get the Storm Surge and the loot that they, need in order to win this game. They're trying to secure their future in this game as the game winner, and they don't want to really, play second place. They want to play third. They want to place first place because it gives you the most amount of points in order to win the tournament overall, which is the bigger picture that you guys need to keep in mind. A lot of players fail to see this bigger picture, and these 2 kills really help them out in the bigger picture overall. So I would like to point out something about this rotation. I'm going to pause it really quickly here and then bring out my pen tool. As you guys can see, they're rotating in a very type of specific way. They started pretty much over where this blue X is in the top right corner, and then they decided to rotate in a very specific way, which is kind of white lining it on the dead side of zone. And as you guys can see, they're not really doing full tarps here. They're trying to do kind of a shambles tarp in order to save some, mats. Not going to be focused because they're on the more dead side. Nobody's going to really be looking at them too much, which is really good if you guys want to try to save the most amount of mats and you don't want to really, get shot at, get, kind of affected by any other teams that are on the same layer or lower layers than you. And they are a mid-ground team, so they're doing a really good job playing mid-ground here, as you guys can see. They're below high ground, but they're not too low to the point where they're low ground. And this is arguably one of the best rotations I've seen from them in a while. Something they struggle with a lot is sometimes rotations. However, they fixed those issues a lot, and right now they're, just doing a very good job of protecting themselves in the end game. And as you can see, I want to point out something Deyy did there. He obviously looked behind and blocked their back, which is one very important thing. Blocking the back of a tarp is arguably the most important because you never know when somebody's just going to pickaxe into the back and then spray you down your tarp. It's never a good idea to leave it open or leave it unprotected because it's always critical that you guys know where you are and where other enemies are around you. So continuing on, you guys can see that Deyy is not looking for too many kills right here. He's obviously going to eventually, and he decides to harpoon this wall, and he eventually does not get the wall and chooses to leave it. That's one really important thing. A lot of players will tunnel vision onto those types of kills, and obviously Deyy, Mero, and Reverse do not. And they're giving good comms to each other. They're basically saying, trying to protect themselves, and they comm about zone. Arguably, the most important thing in an endgame is zone. You guys need to make sure that you're running away from zone. You need to make sure that you're trying to get those placement points, and you need to make sure that you're not dying to things like zone and terrain, which is two of the most important things that I can think of during endgame. Right here, the first thing they did as soon as zone pulled was they focused on zone. And most trios will do that. However, most trios will not immediately start rotating. They're going to really just sit around and just wait for zone to come up to them. These guys try to get ahead of zone and rotate early. Continuing on, as you guys can see, they rotate to a higher layer, as to not be sprayed by height. And right here, the cover of the trees and the other tarps around them are going to make them not really like targets to be sprayed by height. And they make sure to replace all of the walls that they possibly can. And they rotate a different direction in order to not, coincide with the team that's going to be like around them or whatever. And obviously this tree is going to be protecting them, which is one important thing. You guys can use terrain to your advantage as well as you can treat it as an enemy. Terrain's obviously going to be an enemy to you guys, but is not going to necessarily not help you in certain aspects. Right there, these trees in this whole wooded area is protecting them. They're at pretty much one of the spire towers right now, and they're trying to sort of guide themselves into zone without being sprayed by height, which is arguably one of the most important things from this trio. So right there, they give a comm saying we're right below height, which is arguably one of the best comms. What they should try to do here is they should try to look for high ground and spray it a little bit, just, sort of weaken it and cripple it. And Mero obviously does get, boxed a little bit, but he comms for them to get him out, and obviously the team responds very well to that. And right here is arguably the most important part of the game. What Deyy does here is he drops Mero a lot of the materials in order to continue the tarping of, pretty much everything. And he obviously pops his flop in order to get back to max health, which is one of the most important things. And he's also looking for a little bit of, security. He needs a bit more security here. Right now, they're not extremely covered, and he decides to, look for a couple of kills. He obviously doesn't get that because he messes up the edit, tries to box, doesn't really get the box off very well. But he looks up and looks for some kills. Right here, Deyy does need a kill. He only has 3 builds, and obviously they get dropped. They kill Trap, which is one of the, arguably the best pro players right now. So he kills Trap, and he decides that he wants to try to tank zone for a little bit. So obviously Deyy decides to frag, he gets a kill, and right here Deyy is kind of going crazy. He decides to, kind of focus on getting kills right now and to gain height. So he obviously gets height. He does get pumped for a little bit though, and as you guys can see, pretty much they're trying to secure the high ground and not, get it taken away from them. Notice how the harpoon does play a big role in their refreshes. Deyy obviously had a harpoon up to this before this, and they played a really, really big role into all of the refreshes that they got in most of the end game, and even mid game sometimes, which is arguably some of the most important, items. Right now he has a harpoon again, and he can use it, to do very different things. So now they focus on getting high ground and just wrapping up the game. Reverse obviously did die. I believe he died in zone. And they're trying to just wrap up the lobby and get all of the kills that they possibly can in order to, succeed and place higher, get all the kill points that they need. They obviously have 10 kills, and there's 5 people left. So right now is a 2v3, and they're trying to focus on not dying and not kind of throwing the win, which is one important thing. I see a lot of players just jump down now and try to go for the win, but obviously it turns into a 2v1, and Deyy tries to drop down and then goes for the kill, and he eventually ultimately gets it and wins them the game right here, as you guys can see. So I would like to just highlight, that was a really good game from Deyy, Mero, and Reverse. I know that the VOD review I talked a lot, but it's okay because a lot of this information is extremely important for beginning trios and, trios just in general, cash cups, scrims, whatever you guys want to call them. It's a very important information that you guys need to understand. Deyy, Mero, and Reverse are a very calculated trio. They know exactly what they're going to do. They know how they're going to do it, and they always pull it out. And even if they get into a bad situation, they do readjust, and they always know how to come back from, tough spots and places where it's going to be a struggle to try and win. And that's why whenever they don't pull zone, they've won a lot of times. Or if they haven't won, they've always played consistent, which is one really important thing about this trio that I would like to highlight. That's about it for this video, guys. If you guys did enjoy, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. Be sure to use code SONATAYT if you guys do want to support me in the item shop. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.